During the week, you are not just welcome to consult other coaches, but you are encouraged to insult other... God damn it, this is so hard. Whew, okay. Hello everybody and welcome to the Double Dip Draft. I am your host today, Spood, coach of the Southtown Sandslashers, and I will be going over all of the things that you need to know as either a new or returning player to Double Dip to get you started and comfortably acclimated to Draft League life. That is going to be learning how the format works, learning how the website works, and learning the format in general, so that we can play some games, have some fun, and hopefully do it with everything above board and everybody knowing where to start. This is going to be a bit of a chunky video probably, so there is going to be timestamps in the description with links to different chapters of this video so that you can easily refer back to certain sections if you need them later, or if you're a returning player who doesn't need to, for example, set up their Draft League NL account, you can just skip over those parts of the video and get to the things that might interest you, like rule set changes, national decks, information, complex bands, and so on and so forth. So let's do this. Hopefully it's as painless as possible, and we can have a little fun while we learn a lot about how to do all of this stuff. For the uninitiated, the Double Dip Draft is a singles Pokemon Showdown Draft League. A Draft League is a format of singles Pokemon in which you have a limited pool of Pokemon that you are allowed to bring to every one of your matches for the entire season. In this case, we are doing 12 Pokemon per draft in Season 6. The point of draft is to pick the best 6 Pokemon out of your pool of 12 to fight the 6 Pokemon you predict your opponent will bring out of their pool of 12 every week to hopefully win. The trick is that the 12 Pokemon that you draft at the start of the season are all you get to work with, barring some minor exceptions which we'll get into later. We will go into more detail as to the exact process by which you draft Pokemon later in this video, but for the sake of explaining the format, the idea is that you have a limited pool of Pokemon and you need to use them to the best of their ability to beat your opponents. The league itself is going to be running for 7 weeks from week 1 to week 7. That means you'll be fighting 7 other opponents in an 8-player round-robin division. And based on your record at the end of the season, you will either advance to playoffs or be done there. If you do advance to playoffs, there's an additional 3 weeks of play at minimum until you make it to grand finals. To get started, the first thing you've got to do is make sure you have a name registered on Pokemon Showdown with a password. If you don't have a name, you won't be able to play your matches consistently. If you haven't already, you'll also be receiving a DM from a Discord bot called Chatot. Follow the directions in its DM to get your account registered on the website. The website we'll be using to organize and host the Double Dip Draft, as it has been for the last few seasons, is draftleague.nl, which will be linked below in the description and is also going to be linked in the Discord server, in the announcements chat, and also in the League documents chat. You should definitely consider bookmarking the Draft League NL tab because you will be using it a lot during the season. And while we're getting into the basics of Draft League NL, once you've gotten your account set up with Chatot and gotten your login, you should also consider going in and setting up your account info. As of recording this, we've only got about half of the logos designed at this point, and we've only sent out 1 or 2. But once you receive your logo, you will need to go into Draft League NL and go to the Edit Account Info tab, and then change your team name and or logo, and then add the provided image. We cannot do this on your behalf, unfortunately, so please make sure that you upload your logo. And while you're there, make sure to set your time zone, preferred pronouns, Showdown username, and any social media you'd like to have otherwise linked onto your account. Once you've done this, you should be ready to use draftleague.nl. Once you've gotten your account set up, we'd recommend taking a look at our league's tier list for this season. The next thing to do while we are getting things set up behind the scenes would be to strategize and pick out what your draft looks like for this upcoming season. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of that. To check our tier list, I would recommend going to Draft League NL and then to the tier list tab, or use the link in our announcements or league documents channels in the Discord. This season, your draft will consist of the following: a total of 12 Pokemon, 1 Pokemon from the S tier, 2 Pokemon from the A tier, 2 Pokemon from the B tier, 4 Pokemon from the C tier, and 3 Pokemon from the D tier. Our league is being run in the National Dex format this season, meaning that all Pokemon released prior to Pokemon Legends Arceus are available to draft as long as they are not in the banned tier. The 12 Pokemon you pick are the Pokemon you are required to choose from for the remainder of the season. The only exception to this is trades, which can be made between 2 players at any point during the season. You can only trade Pokemon with a willing partner from within the same tier, and you won't be able to use any Pokemon you receive until the week after your trade is made. Certain Pokemon have special restrictions known as complex bans, which are noted on the website's tier list. These are the complex bans listed here. If you ever need easy access to these, please once again check our announcements channel, or just make sure you're taking note of the complex bans as noted in the Pokemon on the tier list. Failure to comply with a complex ban will result in a round forfeit, so please make sure you are aware of what your Pokemon is and isn't allowed to do. This season, you are also allowed, though not required, to draft and use Mega Pokemon. You can only pick a single Mega on your draft. If you do choose to draft a Mega Pokemon, you have to bring its Mega Stone as its item every week that you decide to bring it. By extension, if you draft a non-Mega variant of a Mega Pokemon, like Pinsir as opposed to Mega Pinsir, you're not allowed to bring its Mega Stone as an item. You're not required to Mega Evolve your Mega if you bring it in a match as long as it has its Mega Stone held. This season, due to certain restrictions on team building in the regular National Dex and National Dex AG formats on Pokemon Showdown, we're going to be playing on a different Pokemon Showdown server, also known as the Pokemon Showdown Sports server. The link to that is down below. You need to make sure you are team building and playing your matches in this server every single time. Once again, if you need easy access to this, I would recommend bookmarking it. We will also be providing a link to it in the announcements chat upon the release of this video, and of course, all relevant links will be in the description below. Make sure that your teams validate from here. Do not forfeit games unless it is absolutely necessary. This causes problems for calculating differential and Pokemon stats. You need to play out your games to the end, even if it becomes apparent you can no longer win. Do not start your games with the timer enabled. If the game goes beyond 30 turns and/or 20 minutes of real time, either player can turn on the Smogon timer, not the DS timer. If a player times out under the Smogon timer, they are considered a forfeit defeat. If a player disconnects during the game, their opponent must make an attempt to message them via Discord. If they don't receive a response within 10 minutes, the player who disconnected will be considered to have forfeit. There are no Z moves in this format. The following cut moves from Sword and Shield are allowed, with the exception of Hidden Power, which will remain banned. Check the screen now to see what moves you are allowed to use. DYNAMAX and GIGANTAMAX are not allowed. The ability Moody is universally banned. The move Baton Pass is completely banned, including the act of dry passing or using Baton Pass without stats. Once your account's been set up and you familiarize yourself with the league rules, you are all set. Everybody will receive a ping in the announcements channel once drafting begins. When drafting begins, you will use the link provided in announcements, or you can navigate to the live draft yourself at any time by going to draftleague.nl and then over to the Live Draft tab while you're logged in. The webpage will have 4 boxes at the top. 2 boxes of one tier for your upcoming pick and its backup, and 2 boxes of another tier for your second upcoming pick and its backup. Okay, this is really complicated. Basically, okay, you've got 2 pairs of boxes. Just make sure that your upcoming pick and its backup are the same tier. You can draft your Pokemon in any order. You do not have to start from the S tier. The draft will take place in a snake order. meaning that a list will be randomly generated by the website of the order in which our players will draft Pokemon. The players will then draft in the order generated by the list, but when the list hits the very bottom, whoever goes last will draft twice, restarting from the bottom and going back to the top, at which point the top player will go twice, it'll make its way back down to the bottom. Repeat until every single player has drafted all 12 of their Pokemon. Given that we have a lot of players from different time zones and people obviously have other obligations and can't hover the draft page for the duration of the entire draft, I would expect that this process is going to take at least a couple of days. To prevent the draft from being held up for too long though, we will have an 18-hour hard cap time limit for each draft pick. If whoever is up for their pick fails to make their pick within 18 hours of being chosen, they will be skipped and will be able to pick an extra Pokemon alongside their next pick when the draft comes back around to them. We will not be offering free agent trades this season except under exceptional circumstances such as a team dropout. Once everybody's completed their drafts, we will announce a start date, the divisions, and their respective schedules. Each week you will have a due date and an opponent within your division. You'll need to reach out to your opponent to schedule your battle before the due date each week. You can request an extension if you'll be unable to play out your match due to scheduling conflicts in a given week's time frame. Just make sure to get in touch with us ahead of time. During the week, you're welcome to consult other coaches, external practice partners, online guides, and so on and so forth to help build your team. Once it's time to battle, however, you must be completely on your own. No external help from other people is allowed during the course of your battle. You can still consult things like type charts, matchup data, notes taken from before your battle, and the damage calculator during your match. We would highly recommend using the damage calculator as often as possible. To initiate a battle, go to the sports server, linked here, and challenge your opponent using their showdown nickname. Make sure spectating is allowed. Once the battle starts, it cannot stop for any reason until its completion in accordance with the previously established rules about timers and disconnects. Post the link to your battle in the live battles chat in the Discord so our stats bot can join. If it's working correctly, Porygon will post the results and replay link in the League Replays channel. If Porygon does not upload your replay to the site automatically, it should post the stats in the stats channel of the Discord. If Porygon fails to either upload your replay directly or post your stats, you'll need to manually take the stats for the battle yourself and upload them using the draftleague.nl Submit a Match tab. If you have any confusion about how to take stats, there's a lot of information on that page, and definitely feel free to contact myself or Aurora, or anybody who's been doing this for a long time. The Porygon bot is not managed by us, and by extension it does go down quite frequently, so be prepared to probably have to take stats at least once or twice. If Porygon fails to upload your replay, but it does drop the stats into the stats channel, you can simply copy and paste those stats into the Porygon match import box on the Submit Your Match tab. The winner of the battle will be responsible for uploading the stats unless an agreement otherwise is made between the players. Always make it a habit to save your replays just in case. Once your battles are published, you're done for the week, and you can start team building for your next opponent. At the end of the main season, the top 4 players from each division will advance to playoffs, where they will play to win the entire tournament in a single elimination bracket. The players that advance are determined first by win-loss, then by differential, which is the score that represents the amount of Pokemon you won or lost a game by, and then lastly by head-to-head matchup. In the event of a 3-way tie by the metrics of win-loss and differential with a circular head-to-head, each player will play an additional match to determine who advances, the exact rules of which will be determined on a case-by-case basis at the time of the tiebreaker. The chances of this are astonishingly low, and it has never happened before, but you never know. The playoffs are 12 players this season, meaning that the top player from each division will advance with a bye to top 8, as will the second highest placement in the Platinum division. The remaining 8 players will play an additional round of playoffs to determine who advances to top 8. Check the screen now to see visually how this looks. The better you perform in bracket, the easier your playoffs run will theoretically be. The winners' quarters and winners' semis will be played on a weekly basis in the same way that each division match plays. This means that after an additional 2 weeks, we will have only 4 players remaining. The top 4 will then be streamed all at once on a day agreeable to all parties that advance this far. The loser of each semifinal will play in a bronze match to determine who gets 3rd place. At the end of the season, during the top 4 playoffs livestream, we will have an award show called the Dippies. In the weeks leading up to the top 4, we'll have forms for nominating and then voting for games and coaches in different categories such as Biggest Upset or Best Coach. The only games eligible to receive votes for the Dippies are games that took place in the group stage, so even if you can't make it to playoffs, you might be able to snag a fancy certificate. The certificate will be shipped to your address domestically or internationally at no cost, within comfortability, of course. If you're not comfortable with sharing a shipping address, you're still eligible for a Dippy. We'll just make and send it digitally instead. And that's it! The culture of the league is big on participation, and we always encourage people to reach out for team building help or to watch live matches together. And we're really excited to have all of you guys here for the first time. We're looking forward to playing together. It's gonna be fun. I know that was very stuffy and a lot of technicalities and rules and stuff, but just make sure that if you have any questions, check back to this video. And if you have any further questions that are not answered by this video, then please do not hesitate to reach out to myself, Spood, or Aurora the Hoonsbrook Hunters on Discord with any additional questions. We're looking forward to playing with you, and we're looking forward to getting the draft started soon.